My 6-year-old daughter exposed my wife's darkest secret. The grocery store was crowded on a Saturday morning, the kind of chaos that makes you question every life decision that led to weekend errands with a 6-year-old. My daughter Lily was sitting in the cart, swinging her legs, and humming something from that animated movie she'd watched 17 times in the past week. My wife Natalie was 2 aisles over comparing organic yogurt brands while I grabbed cereal. Normal. Completely, perfectly normal. Then Lily looked up at me with those big brown eyes that could melt steel and asked in her painfully loud child voice, "Daddy, why does Mommy take so many pictures of you sleeping?" I froze with a box of cornflakes halfway to the cart. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She tilted her head like I'd asked something obvious. "At night, when you're sleeping, she takes lots of pictures with her phone. Sometimes she just stands there and watches you. I see her when I wake up to use the bathroom." The cereal box slipped from my hand and hit the floor with a hollow thud. An elderly woman beside me gave me a concerned look before moving past with her cart. My daughter continued swinging her legs, completely unaware that she'd just shattered something fundamental in my understanding of my marriage. "She watches me sleep?" My voice came out strained, trying to sound casual while my heart rate spiked. Does she do anything else?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. "Sometimes she touches your face really softly, and she whispers things, but I can't hear what she says. One time I asked her what she was doing, and she said it was a grown-up thing, and I should go back to bed." She paused, then added, "She looked really sad, Daddy, like when I broke her favorite cup and she tried not to cry." I picked up the cereal box with shaking hands, my mind racing through explanations that might make this normal. Natalie and I had been married for 8 years, together for 10. We'd met at a friend's wedding where she'd been the photographer and I'd been the best man. She'd taken candid shots of me laughing with friends, and later told me those photos showed something genuine she wanted to capture more of. We'd fallen in love over late-night conversations about art and life, and the strange beauty in ordinary moments. Photography was her passion, her career, her way of seeing the world. But this felt different, watching me sleep, taking photos while I was unconscious, and doing it enough that our 6-year-old had noticed multiple times. "How many times have you seen Mommy do this?" I asked carefully, kneeling down to Lily's level. She scrunched up her face in concentration. "Lots. Maybe, I don't know numbers that big, Daddy, but more than my fingers. More than 10 times. My wife had photographed me sleeping more than 10 times that our daughter had witnessed. How many times had it happened when Lily hadn't woken up?" Natalie appeared at the end of the aisle, 2 containers of yogurt in her hands, smiling at us. That smile I'd loved for a decade suddenly looked different, foreign. "What are we talking about over here?" she asked brightly, approaching with the casual ease of someone who had no idea their secret had just been exposed by a first grader. I stood up, forcing my expression neutral. "Just trying to figure out which cereal. You know how Lily changes her mind every week." Natalie laughed and ruffled Lily's hair. "Last week it was the one with the tiger. This week probably the one with the rainbow bird." She dropped the yogurt into the cart, and I watched her face carefully. No guilt, no nervousness, just my wife doing Saturday morning shopping like we'd done hundreds of times before. We finished shopping while I operated on autopilot, my thoughts circling around Lily's revelation. I studied Natalie's behavior for anything unusual, but she was perfectly herself, commenting on items we needed, checking our list on her phone, debating whether to try a new brand of pasta sauce. When we got home, I told Natalie I'd handle putting groceries away while she helped Lily with a puzzle. I needed time to think without her noticing the cracks forming in my composure. While organizing the refrigerator, I replayed every recent night. Had I noticed her getting up? I was a heavy sleeper, something Natalie had always teased me about. Said she could probably rearrange the entire bedroom and I wouldn't notice. I'd thought it was a joke, a loving observation about one of my quirks. Now it felt like an admission. That night, I lay in bed pretending to read while Natalie showered. Our bedroom looked the same as always. Queen bed with the navy comforter Natalie had picked out, 2 nightstands with matching lamps, her photography books stacked on her side, my technical manuals gathering dust on mine. The window overlooking our backyard, where Lily's swing set cast shadows in the moonlight. Everything familiar and suddenly suspicious. Natalie emerged from the bathroom in her sleep shirt, her dark hair damp and smelling like lavender shampoo. She climbed into bed beside me and kissed my shoulder. "You were quiet today. Everything okay?" Here was my chance to ask directly, to confront her about what Lily had said, but something stopped me. Maybe fear of what the answer would be, maybe the desire to gather more information before showing my hand, maybe just the cowardice of not wanting to blow up my marriage based on a 6-year-old's observations. "Just tired. Work's been intense." She nodded and settled against her pillow. "Well, sleep well. Love you. Love you too." I turned off my lamp and lay in the darkness, staring at the ceiling. Beside me, Natalie's breathing gradually deepened into sleep. I waited, forcing myself to remain still, to breathe evenly, to appear unconscious while every nerve in my body was alert. An hour passed, maybe more. Then I felt it, the subtle shift of the mattress as Natalie moved, the faint rustle of sheets. I kept my eyes closed and my breathing steady, fighting every instinct that screamed to open my eyes and confront her. Through my eyelashes, Barely visible in the darkness, I saw Natalie sitting up in bed, just sitting there, looking at me. For minutes that felt like hours, she simply watched me. Then I heard the soft click of her phone being picked up from the nightstand. The faint glow of the screen illuminated her face, and I saw an expression I'd never seen before, something between grief and longing and a desperation that made my chest tighten. The camera shutter sound was barely audible, silenced, but not completely muted. 1 photo, 2, 3. She leaned closer, studying me through her phone screen like I was a stranger she was trying to memorize. Then she set the phone down and did something that made my blood run cold. She reached out with a trembling hand and touched my face, her fingers tracing my jaw with such gentleness, it felt like she was saying goodbye. "I'm sorry," she whispered so quietly I barely heard it. "I'm so sorry. I just need to remember." Remember what? What was she apologizing for? She withdrew her hand and lay back down, but I could feel her tension. She wasn't sleeping. She was lying there in the darkness while I pretended to sleep, both of us performing unconsciousness for different reasons. I waited another hour before carefully, slowly, shifting positions like a natural movement during sleep. Natalie's breathing never changed rhythm. She was still awake too, pretending. The next morning I woke to find Natalie already up, making coffee in the kitchen. Lily was at the table with her coloring books, cheerfully creating what appeared to be a purple dinosaur. Everything looked aggressively normal. "Morning," Natalie said, handing me a mug without asking. She knew exactly how I took my coffee after a decade together. 2 sugars, a splash of cream. "Sleep well?" The casual question felt loaded with meaning. Did she know I'd been awake? Had I moved or breathed wrong? "Yeah, fine. You? Great." She kissed my cheek and returned to scrambling eggs. I sat down across from Lily, who looked up and smiled. "Daddy, can we go to the park today? Please, please, please." "Maybe later, sweetie. Daddy has some work to catch up on." Natalie glanced over her shoulder. "On a Sunday? I thought you finished that project." "New one came up Friday. Sorry. Boring adult stuff." She studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, Lily and I can go to the park. You get your work done." After breakfast, they left for the playground. I watched them drive away from our living room window, then immediately went to Natalie's office. It felt like a violation of trust, going through her private space. But she'd been photographing me without consent for months, maybe longer. Whatever trust we'd built had already been damaged. Her office was organized chaos. Photography equipment lined the walls, 3 cameras on a shelf, external hard drives stacked beside her computer, the walls covered with prints of her work, landscapes, portraits, event photography from the weddings and corporate functions she shot professionally. Her computer was password protected. I tried our anniversary date. Wrong. Lily's birthday. Wrong. I stared at the login screen, thinking, then tried her mother's maiden name combined with my birth year. The desktop loaded. Folders filled the screen. Client work clearly labeled by date and event. But there was one folder with no label, just a blank icon sitting by itself in the corner. I double-clicked it. Inside were subfolders organized by date, going back 3 years. My hands hovered over the mouse. Part of me not wanting to know what I'd find, but I'd come this far. I opened the most recent folder. Photos of me sleeping. Dozens of them. High resolution, clearly shot on her professional camera, not just her phone. Different angles, different lighting. Some close-ups of my face, others showing me curled on my side. The timestamps showed they'd been taken over the past month, every few nights. I opened folders from earlier months. More photos. Hundreds of them. I scrolled back through the years and felt sick. This had been happening since Lily was 3 years old. 3 years of my wife secretly photographing me while I slept. But as I went further back, the photos changed. Mixed in with sleeping photos were candid shots of me going about daily life, reading on the couch, working at my desk, playing with Lily in the backyard. All taken without my knowledge, from angles that suggested she'd been hiding. One folder from 18 months ago contained something different. A document file titled, Before and After. I opened it. Inside was a medical report. Natalie's name at the top, MRI results. Brain imaging, terminology I didn't fully understand but could piece together. Glioblastoma, grade 4, inoperable. The date was from 2 years ago. I read the report 3 times before the words really sank in. My wife had brain cancer, terminal brain cancer, and I'd known nothing about it. The document continued with treatment notes, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, dates of appointments that lined up with days she'd said she was doing photo shoots or meeting clients. She'd been going to oncology appointments while I'd believed she was working. A prognosis estimate, 12 to 18 months. That date was 24 months ago. She'd outlived her death sentence, but barely. I sat back in her chair, my mind reeling. The photos made sense now. She was documenting me because she was dying, creating a catalog of memories because her own memories would soon be gone. The watching, the touching, the whispered apologies. She was saying goodbye incrementally, night after night. My phone buzzed. Natalie texting from the park. Lily wants to know if you can come for lunch after you're done working. Her choice of restaurant, so brace yourself for chicken nuggets. I stared at the message. My dying wife, who'd kept her terminal diagnosis secret for 2 years, was asking about lunch plans. I typed back, Sure, text me when you're ready. Then I kept searching. More medical documents, treatment plans, consent forms for experimental therapies, bills that I'd never seen, paid from an account I didn't know existed. She'd kept her entire medical crisis hidden while maintaining the facade of normal life. Deeper in the files, I found something else. A video folder labeled for Lily. I clicked it. The preview showed Natalie sitting in this same office looking at the camera with red eyes and a trembling smile. I couldn't bring myself to play it. Not yet. Instead, I found another folder. For David, my name. I opened it. Inside were dozens of video files, dated across the past year. The most recent was from 3 days ago. I clicked it. Natalie appeared on screen, sitting in this chair, wearing the sweater I'd complimented her on that morning. Hi, David. It's October 9th, and I'm recording this because Dr. Reeves told me I need to start making arrangements. The seizures are getting worse, and the latest scan shows the tumor is growing despite treatment. She gives me maybe 3 more months. Her voice cracked. I keep trying to find the right time to tell you. Every morning I wake up and think today is the day I'll explain everything. But then I see you making breakfast or playing with Lily or just existing in our life together, and I can't do it. I can't watch that happiness disappear from your face. She wiped her eyes. So I take the photos instead. I watch you sleep and memorize everything about you because soon I won't be able to. The tumor affects memory and cognition. I'm already forgetting things. Small things for now, but it's getting worse. Last week I couldn't remember Lily's teacher's name. Yesterday I forgot where we keep the scissors. I need you to know that keeping this secret wasn't about not loving you. It was about loving you too much to burden you with watching me die slowly. You would have stopped working to take care of me. You would have sacrificed everything to make me comfortable. And I didn't want that. I wanted you to live normally for as long as possible. To have good memories that aren't tainted by hospitals and hospice and watching your wife deteriorate. She looked down at her hands. I know that's selfish. I know you deserve the truth. But I'm dying, David. I'm 34 years old and I'm dying. And I just wanted a little more time pretending everything was fine. Pretending we'd grow old together. Pretending I'd see Lily graduate high school. The video continued for another 5 minutes. Natalie detailed her symptoms. The headaches that had led to the initial diagnosis. The vision problems she'd hidden. The memory lapses she'd covered by making lists and setting reminders. She'd been meticulous about concealing her decline. Then she outlined practical matters. The life insurance policy she'd increased. The college fund she'd maxed out for Lily. The legal documents giving me sole medical power of attorney when she could no longer make decisions. She'd planned for her death while I'd planned our vacation to the mountains next summer. I recorded videos for Lily too, she said. Birthdays up to 18, graduation, wedding day, all the moments I won't be there for. I need you to give them to her at the right times, and please, please don't let her remember me as sick. Show her these videos and the photos where I'm healthy and happy. Let her remember me laughing, not dying. The video ended. I sat in silence, staring at the frozen frame of my wife's face. The woman I loved had been dying for 2 years, and had carried that burden alone, rather than share it with me. I didn't know whether to feel betrayed by the deception, or heartbroken by the sacrifice. Both emotions warred in my chest, until I couldn't separate them. My phone buzzed again. Lily is having a meltdown about leaving the park. We're going to be another 30 minutes. Sorry, I needed to leave this office. Needed to stop discovering secrets that were dismantling my understanding of my marriage. But I couldn't stop myself from opening the oldest folder in her collection. Photos from before the diagnosis. Normal family pictures. Candid shots. Then I saw a subfolder labeled Before Symptoms. Inside were photos I'd never seen. Natalie and another man. Young, maybe early 20s. They were at what looked like a college party. Her arm around his waist. His hand on her shoulder. Both smiling at the camera. I scrolled through more photos. The same man appeared repeatedly. Different locations. Different outfits. But clearly a significant presence in her past. At the beach. At graduation. In an apartment I didn't recognize. Then I found a photo that made my stomach drop. Natalie in a wedding dress. Not our wedding. This dress was simpler. More casual. She was younger, maybe 23. Standing beside the same man, now in a suit. Both holding champagne glasses. Both wearing wedding rings. I searched desperately for context. Found a document buried in the same folder. A marriage certificate from 11 years ago. Natalie Reeves married to Oliver Strand. My wife had been married before. She'd never mentioned a previous marriage. In 10 years together, she'd never once indicated she'd been married to someone else. I went through photos with shaking hands. Found more documents. A restraining order filed by Natalie against Oliver Strand, dated 8 years ago. The petition detailed domestic violence. Multiple incidents. Escalating severity. Photos attached showing bruises, a black eye, a split lip. The final incident had sent her to the emergency room with a concussion and broken ribs. The restraining order had been granted, but there was more. A police report from 7 years ago. Oliver Strand arrested for violating the restraining order. He'd been found outside Natalie's apartment, the same apartment where we'd lived together when we first started dating. The arrest record showed he'd been carrying zip ties and duct tape. The intent was clear enough that he'd been charged with attempted kidnapping along with the restraining order violation. He'd served 3 years in prison, released 4 years ago, and I'd never known any of this existed. Natalie had completely erased this part of her past from our relationship. I heard the garage door opening. They were home early. I closed all the folders, shut down the computer, and left Natalie's office exactly as I'd found it. My mind was spinning with information I couldn't process. My wife was dying. She'd hidden it for 2 years. She'd been married before to an abusive man. She'd been stalked and nearly kidnapped, and I'd known none of it. Lily burst through the front door, carrying a pine cone she'd found at the park. "Daddy, look what I got. Can we paint it?" Natalie followed, her cheeks flushed from the cold, looking healthy and alive, looking nothing like someone with terminal brain cancer. I knelt down to examine Lily's pine cone and made appropriate appreciative noises while watching Natalie from the corner of my eye. She hung up her coat, kicked off her shoes, and started sorting through mail on the counter. Completely normal, completely concealing everything. "How was work?" she asked casually. "Productive." The lie came easily. We were both so good at lying now. "Good. Lily wants to paint pine cones. I'll set up the art supplies if you want to grab some newspaper for the table." We spent the afternoon in domestic tranquility, painting pine cones, making dinner, watching a movie while Lily fell asleep between us on the couch. I carried our daughter to bed and tucked her in while Natalie cleaned up the living room. Everything looked perfect from the outside. Happy family, loving marriage, beautiful life, all built on secrets and deception and the ticking clock of my wife's hidden terminal diagnosis. That night, I pretended to fall asleep quickly. I lay still and waited. This time I knew what I was waiting for. It didn't take long. Natalie got out of bed around midnight. I felt her weight shift, heard her soft footsteps moving around to my side. Through barely open eyes, I watched her kneel beside the bed, her face level with mine. She just looked at me for a long time. Her hand came up and traced my face again. That same gentle touch from the night before. "I'm sorry I'm leaving you," she whispered. "I'm sorry I'm taking the coward's way out by not telling you. I just can't bear to see you grieve while I'm still here. I can't watch you pretend to be strong for me when we both know how this ends." Her voice broke. 3 more months, the doctor says. Maybe less. The tumor's growing too fast now. Soon I won't remember your face or Lily's name, or why I fell in love with you in the first place. But right now, in this moment, I remember everything, and I need to hold on to that as long as I can. She stood up, and I heard her camera shutter click multiple times, documenting me, documenting us, creating evidence that this marriage had existed before the cancer took her memories along with her life. After she returned to bed, I lay awake for hours, processing everything. The diagnosis, the secret marriage, the abuse she'd survived, the stalker she'd escaped, all of it pieces of a woman I thought I knew completely, but apparently barely knew at all. By morning, I'd made a decision. I went downstairs early and started coffee, then pulled out my laptop. I spent an hour researching Oliver Strand, found him easily on social media. He'd been released from prison 4 years ago, just as the records indicated. His profile showed he lived 2 towns over. He worked construction. No indication he was married or in a relationship. His recent posts were concerning. Vague references to unfinished business and people who need to be reminded of their place. He'd posted a photo 3 weeks ago with a location tag for a coffee shop in our neighborhood, the same coffee shop where Natalie met clients sometimes. I dug deeper. Found a blog he maintained under a pseudonym, but linked enough through shared photos and details to confirm it was him. The blog was a disturbing chronicle of obsession, posts about his ex-wife who'd falsely accused him and ruined his life, plans for making things right once he'd gathered enough evidence. The most recent post from 5 days ago said simply, "Soon, very soon." I screenshot everything and saved it to a secure folder. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Natalie appeared in the kitchen, already dressed. "You're up early," she noted, reaching for the coffee I'd made. "Couldn't sleep, kept thinking about work stuff." She nodded absently, staring out the window at our backyard. "I need to run some errands today. Will you be around to watch Lily?" "Yeah, of course. Where are you going?" She hesitated. Just a fraction of a second, but I noticed. "Just some shopping. Maybe get my hair cut. Nothing exciting." Another lie. I wondered if she was really going to a doctor's appointment, continuing the treatment she'd been hiding, maintaining the facade that required her to sneak around her own life. "Take your time," I said. "Lily and I will be fine." After Natalie left, I sat Lily down at the kitchen table. She had her stuffed rabbit and a bowl of cereal, happily oblivious to the adult chaos swirling around her. "Lily, sweetheart, I need to ask you something important. About Mommy taking pictures at night." She looked up, milk on her upper lip. "Okay, Daddy. Has Mommy ever seemed sad or sick? Like maybe her head hurts or she forgets things?" Lily thought for a moment, her face scrunched in concentration. "Sometimes she sits down really fast and holds her head. And last week she called me Daisy at first. That's my friend from school. But then she remembered my name and said sorry." My chest tightened. The symptoms were worsening. Natalie was losing time, forgetting names, having episodes that even our 6-year-old was noticing. "Has Mommy ever talked about someone named Oliver?" Lily shook her head. "No. Who's Oliver?" "Just someone from a long time ago. It's okay. You can go watch cartoons." She scampered off, leaving me alone with my thoughts and fears. I spent the next hour going through financial records, found the separate account Natalie had mentioned in her video. She'd been funneling money into it for years, life insurance policies, college savings, emergency funds. She'd been planning for her absence methodically. But I also found something else. Payments to a private investigator. Regular monthly payments for the past 6 months. I called the number listed on the transaction. A gruff voice answered, "Branson Investigations. Hi, my name is David Reeves. My wife Natalie has been using your services. I need information about the case." Silence. Then, "I'm going to need verification. What's your wife's date of birth?" I provided it along with other identifying information. The investigator, who identified himself as Raymond Branson, finally spoke. "Your wife hired me to track Oliver Strand's movements. She was concerned he'd found out where she lives. Wanted to know if he was a threat to her family. And he's definitely watching your house. I've documented him driving past at least a dozen times in the past month. Sitting in his car down the street, following your wife to the grocery store, the pharmacy, the hospital." My blood went cold. "Why didn't you tell her to call the police?" I told her exactly that. She said she'd handle it. Said she had her own timeline for dealing with him. Her own timeline. Because she was dying and wanted to protect us before she couldn't anymore. "Is he dangerous?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "He's violated one restraining order already, spent 3 years in prison for it, and based on his behavior patterns, he's escalating. Whatever he's planning, it's going to happen soon. Your wife knows this. That's why she increased my monitoring 2 weeks ago." I thanked Branson and hung up. Then I called the police non-emergency line. I explained about the restraining order, the stalking, the evidence the private investigator had gathered. The officer who took my report was sympathetic, but not encouraging. "The restraining order expired 6 years ago. We can't enforce it now. And watching someone from a public street isn't illegal. We can increase patrols in your neighborhood, but unless he makes direct threats or contact, there's not much we can do." I hung up feeling helpless. My wife was dying. Her abusive ex-husband was stalking our family, and the legal system offered no protection. Natalie came home 3 hours later, looking exhausted. She went straight to the couch and lay down with a cold compress over her eyes. "Headache?" I asked, sitting beside her. "Yeah, they're getting worse." She said it without thinking, then froze. Realized she'd admitted to something she'd been hiding. "Worse than what?" I pressed gently. She moved the compress and looked at me. For a moment, I thought she might tell me everything. The cancer, the prognosis, the time running out. But she just said, "Worse than usual migraines. I should probably see my doctor. Maybe you should." We sat in silence. Lily was in her room playing. The house was quiet except for the furnace running and the tick of the kitchen clock. Finally, I said, "Natalie, if something was wrong, you'd tell me, right? If you needed help or were in trouble." Her eyes filled with tears. "David, because I love you. Whatever it is, we can handle it together." She sat up and wrapped her arms around me, burying her face in my shoulder. I felt her shaking with silent sobs. "I love you too. So much. More than you know. Then trust me. Whatever you're carrying alone, let me help carry it." She pulled back and wiped her eyes. "I'm just tired and scared, but not about anything you can fix. Try me." She searched my face like she was memorizing it. Then she kissed me, desperate and clinging. When we broke apart, she said, "I need to paint. Clear my head. Will you be okay with Lily for a few hours?" I nodded and watched her go upstairs to her studio. I heard the door close and lock. She wanted privacy. Instead of respecting that, I went to the garage and found the ladder, positioned it outside her studio window, which faced the side yard, climbed up carefully and peered through the gap in the curtains. Natalie wasn't painting. She was sitting at her desk with her phone, typing frantically. I pulled out my phone and opened our wireless carrier's account. Used the family tracking feature she'd set up years ago for safety. Her phone was active. I could see she was texting someone. I couldn't see the messages, but I could see the number. I screenshot it and climbed down. Back in the kitchen, I called Branson again. "That number you're about to give me is Oliver Strand's," he said before I could speak. I saw it come up on my monitoring. "She's been texting him for the past week. Why would she be in contact with him? You'd have to ask her. But based on the frequency and timing, I'd say she's either trying to negotiate with him or she's planning something. Either way, it's not good." After I hung up, I went back to her office computer. Checked her email this time using the same password. Found a draft email saved but never sent. It was addressed to me. "David, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not the way you think. I need you to understand that what I'm about to do isn't about not loving you. It's about loving you and Lily so much that I can't let Oliver hurt you. He knows I'm dying. He's been watching us, and he's planning something. I can't let him follow through." My hands trembled. I kept reading. "He reached out 2 weeks ago. Sent me a photo of Lily on the playground. Said we have unfinished business. Said if I didn't meet him, he'd make sure you and Lily finished what he started with me years ago. I can't let that happen. So I'm meeting him, and I'm not coming back." She was planning to sacrifice herself, to confront Oliver and presumably die at his hands to protect us. Because she was dying anyway and wanted to go out controlling the narrative, protecting her family, rather than wasting away while we watched helplessly. I found more drafts. Letters to Lily explaining that Mommy had to go away but would always love her. Instructions for my future, suggesting I eventually remarry so Lily would have a mother figure. Plans for her funeral down to the music and the flowers. She'd been preparing for this. The photos weren't just about memory. They were about creating evidence of our life together before she erased herself from it. I heard her studio door open, quickly closed the browser, and got back to the kitchen before she came downstairs. She looked calmer, which made me more anxious, like she'd made peace with whatever decision she'd committed to. Feel better? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Yeah, painting helps. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Listen, I have a work thing on Friday night. A potential client wants to meet about their daughter's wedding. Would you mind if I took the meeting? I know it's date night, but it's fine. We can reschedule. She kissed my cheek. You're the best. I promise I'll make it up to you. Friday, 3 days away. I'd bet everything I had that she wasn't meeting a client. She was meeting Oliver, and she was planning not to come home. I waited until she went to pick up Lily from a playdate. Then I called Branson. I need you to follow Natalie on Friday night, full surveillance, and I want to know exactly where she goes. You got it. But I should tell you, I've been tracking Oliver's movements too. He's been quiet lately. Too quiet. That usually means he's planning something, I finished. Yeah, be careful. I spent the next 3 days watching my wife prepare to die. She took Lily to her favorite places, the aquarium, the children's museum, the ice cream shop where they always got matching sundaes. She documented everything with photos, but now I understood why. She was creating final memories, making sure Lily had recent, happy images of them together before she disappeared from her daughter's life. She also had several long phone calls with her mother, her best friend, people she'd distanced herself from over the past year. I eavesdropped on one call with her friend Diana. I just wanted to say thank you for everything, Natalie said. For being there through all the hard times, for helping me find myself again after Oliver, for being the best friend anyone could ask for. Diana's voice came through faintly. I heard concern, questions about why this sounded like goodbye. I'm just feeling sentimental, Natalie deflected. You know how I get. But seriously, you've meant the world to me. After she hung up, she sat at the kitchen table and cried. I came in and held her, not saying anything. What could I say that wouldn't expose what I knew? Friday arrived with gray skies and cold rain. Natalie spent extra time with Lily that morning, reading books, playing dress-up, making pancakes shaped like butterflies. When Lily spilled syrup on her shirt, Natalie just laughed and helped her change, no frustration at the mess. She was savoring every moment. Daddy and I are going to have a special night tonight, Natalie told Lily. But tomorrow we'll do something extra fun, okay? Whatever you want. Can we go to the trampoline place? Lily asked excitedly. Natalie's face crumpled for just a second before she forced a smile. Absolutely. Trampoline place it is. She wouldn't be here tomorrow. She knew it. I knew it. Lily was oblivious. That evening, Natalie got dressed carefully. Not client meeting professional. Something else. Dark jeans, a heavy jacket, boots with good traction. She was dressing for confrontation, not conversation. The meeting is at 7, she said, kissing me at the door. I should be home by 9, maybe 10 if they're really chatty about wedding details. Be safe. Text me when you're on your way back. I will. She hugged me tighter than normal. I love you, David. I need you to know that. Whatever happens, I love you. I love you too. I watched her car pull out of the driveway. Then I immediately called Branson. She's moving. Stay on her. I'd already arranged for Lily to stay at my sister's house, claiming Natalie and I needed a date night. My sister had been happy to take her niece for the evening. As soon as they were settled, I got in my car and headed to the location Branson texted me. An industrial park on the outskirts of town. Abandoned warehouses and empty lots. The perfect place for something terrible to happen where no one would witness it. I parked 3 blocks away and approached on foot. Branson had given me the exact building. I saw Natalie's car parked in front. No other vehicles visible, but that didn't mean Oliver wasn't already inside. I circled the building, looking for another entrance. Found a side door partially open. Slipped inside into darkness that smelled of mildew and old machinery. Voices echoed from deeper in the building. I moved toward them, using my phone flashlight sparingly, trying to stay quiet. Did you think would happen? Oliver's voice. Angry. Bitter. You destroyed my life. Sent me to prison. Made sure everyone knew what a monster I was. And now you're dying anyway. Karma's a bitch, Nat. I know. Natalie's voice was calm. Too calm. That's why I'm here. I'm dying in a few months. But you can make it happen sooner. Get your revenge. Just leave David and Lily alone. I reached a catwalk overlooking the main floor. Below, I saw them. Natalie standing near a pile of old equipment. Oliver pacing, something in his hand. A knife. You think it's that easy? He snarled. You think I just want you dead? I want you to suffer. Like I suffered. 3 years in a cage because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You put me in the hospital, multiple times. What did you expect me to do? I expected you to be loyal. I expected you to understand that I loved you. That everything I did was because I loved you. He was screaming now, unhinged. Natalie didn't flinch. You don't love people by hurting them. You hurt me worse. You hurt me with words and lies and legal papers. So yeah, I'm going to hurt you back. But not quick, not easy. He moved toward her, and I couldn't stay hidden anymore. I climbed down the ladder as quickly and quietly as possible, trying to reach them before he got to her. But I wasn't fast enough. Oliver grabbed Natalie by the throat, slamming her against a concrete pillar. She didn't fight back, didn't even try to defend herself. She'd come here to die. "Oliver!" I shouted. He spun, loosening his grip on Natalie in surprise. "What the—" "Let her go. Now!" I stepped into the light cast by his flashlight propped nearby. Oliver's face twisted with rage. "The new husband. How sweet." She brought back up. "I didn't bring him," Natalie gasped. "David, go, please. This doesn't involve you. Like hell it doesn't. You're my wife." Oliver laughed. "Your wife? You know she was mine first, right? You know I taught her everything, made her who she is. And she thanked me by destroying everything. You destroyed yourself," I said, keeping my voice steady despite my racing heart. "You abused her. You stalked her. You went to prison because you broke the law, not because Natalie lied." "Shut up." He pulled Natalie against him, knife at her throat. "You don't know anything about us, about what we had." I held up my hands, trying to appear non-threatening. "You're right. I don't know your history. But I know Natalie now. And I know she came here to protect our daughter. To protect me. Not because she wanted to." Oliver's expression flickered. "Protect you from what? From me? You think I'm the monster here? I think you're angry. I think you've been nursing that anger for years. And I think hurting Natalie won't make it better. It'll just make you a murderer. I'm already a monster. Might as well earn it." He pressed the knife harder against Natalie's throat. A thin line of blood appeared. "Last chance," I said, pulling out my phone. "I've got 911 on speed dial, and a private investigator who's been documenting your every move for months. You hurt her, you're going back to prison, this time forever. Then I better make it count." He drew the knife back, preparing to slash Natalie's throat. I lunged forward, but knew I wouldn't make it in time. Then Natalie moved, fast and unexpected. She drove her elbow into Oliver's stomach, twisted out of his grip, and kicked his knee. The knife clattered to the ground. Oliver stumbled, shocked. Natalie grabbed the knife and held it between them, her hand trembling but her voice steady. "I didn't bring David, but I'm glad he's here, because he needs to see this, needs to understand who I was before I met him. What I survived." Oliver straightened, rage replacing surprise. "You think you've won? You're dying anyway. Brain cancer, right? I saw your medical bills when I broke into your house last month." My blood froze. He'd been inside our house, while Lily was sleeping, while I was sleeping. "Yeah, I know all about your tumor," Oliver continued. "About your treatments. About how you've got maybe 3 months left. So this?" He gestured at the knife. "This is mercy. I'm just speeding up the inevitable." "You broke into our house?" I heard myself ask. "How many times?" Oliver grinned. "Enough. Watched you sleep. Watched your kids sleep. Could have done anything. But I wanted Natalie to know I was there. Wanted her to feel hunted, like I felt hunted by her accusations." "The photos," I said, understanding suddenly. "Natalie, you weren't just taking photos because of memory loss. You were documenting, creating evidence." She nodded without taking her eyes off Oliver. "I found evidence he'd been in our bedroom. Little things moved. My camera in slightly different positions. I started documenting everything in case something happened to me. So you'd have proof it was him." "How touching," Oliver sneered. "Building a case from beyond the grave. But here's the thing, Nat. I'm not stupid. I wore gloves, left no prints, no DNA. Your photos don't prove anything. Maybe not. But the private investigator's surveillance footage does," I said. "He's been watching you for months. Has you on video breaking into our house, following Natalie, stalking our family." Oliver's confidence wavered. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Call the police right now. See who they believe. A man with a history of domestic violence and restraining order violations, or the dying woman he's been stalking." We stood in stalemate, Natalie with the knife, Oliver calculating his options, me between them, ready to move if he lunged. Then we heard sirens in the distance, growing closer. Oliver's eyes widened. "You called them before you got here." "Branson did," I confirmed. "The moment Natalie arrived, he's been documenting everything. This whole conversation is probably on audio." Oliver looked toward the door, then back at Natalie. For a moment, I thought he'd run. Instead, he charged at her, apparently deciding if he was going down, he'd take her with him. I threw myself between them, felt impact, weight, the burning sensation of something sharp. We all crashed to the ground in a tangle of limbs. I heard Natalie screaming my name, felt warmth spreading across my side. Oliver rolled away and scrambled for the exit, but police were already entering, flashlights cutting through the darkness. They tackled him before he made it 5 steps. I lay on the cold concrete, Natalie's face appearing above me. "David, oh God, David, you're bleeding. Stay with me. Help is coming." The pain was distant, almost abstract. I could see the terror in her eyes, though. The same terror I'd seen when I discovered her cancer diagnosis. "I know," I managed to say, "about the cancer. Found your files, the videos." Her face crumpled. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told you." "Yeah," I agreed. "You should have, but I understand why you didn't." Paramedics appeared, pushing Natalie aside. I heard terms like knife wound and possible internal bleeding. Felt pressure on my side. Saw them loading me onto a stretcher. "Lily," I said, gripping Natalie's hand. Our daughter needs at least one parent. Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare let this cancer win without fighting. She nodded, tears streaming. I promise. I'll fight. For her. For us. They loaded me into the ambulance. The last thing I saw before the doors closed was Natalie standing in the rain, looking more alive than she had in months. I woke up in a hospital room to the sound of machines beeping. My side was bandaged and throbbing. Natalie was asleep in the chair beside my bed, holding my hand. She looked exhausted. When I shifted, she woke immediately. You're awake. Thank God. How long? 18 hours. You had surgery. The knife missed anything vital, but you lost a lot of blood. They said you'll be fine. Full recovery expected. And Oliver? In custody. Multiple charges. Breaking and entering, stalking, attempted murder. His parole officer says with his record he's looking at decades. I processed this while staring at her face. She looked different, more open, like a weight had been lifted. The cancer, I said. Tell me everything. No more secrets. She took a breath and told me. Diagnosed 2 years ago. Inoperable. Treatment that bought time but wouldn't cure her. Decline that was accelerating. She had maybe 6 weeks left, not the 3 months her earlier prognosis suggested. I'm scared, she admitted. Terrified of forgetting you and Lily. Terrified of the pain. Terrified of leaving her without a mother. She'll have me. And she'll have your videos, your photos, all the love you documented. It's not enough. I wanted to see her grow up. Wanted to grow old with you. This isn't fair. No, it's not. I squeezed her hand. But hiding it didn't make it less unfair. It just made you carry it alone. I didn't want to burden you. Natalie, marriage means carrying burdens together. You robbed me of the chance to be there for you. To support you. To make memories knowing they were precious. Because they were limited. She cried then. Really cried. Not the quiet tears she'd been hiding for 2 years, but deep sobs that shook her whole body. I held her as best I could with tubes attached and pain medication making me fuzzy. A nurse came in to check my vitals, saw us both crying, and quietly left. When Natalie finally calmed, she said, I need to tell Lily. She deserves to know. Not all the details, but the truth. We'll tell her together, I said. When I'm out of here. As a family. She nodded. What about the photos? Now that you know, keep taking them. I'll pose willingly now. And I want photos of you too. Lots of them. So Lily can remember her mother. We spent the next week preparing. I recovered from the knife wound. Natalie started making arrangements with hospice. We sat Lily down and explained, in 6-year-old terms, that Mommy was very sick and wouldn't get better. That she would go to heaven soon but would always love Lily. Lily processed it better than we expected. Asked questions, cried, but ultimately accepted it with the strange resilience children have. Will you go to heaven too, Daddy? She asked. Not for a very long time. I'm going to stay here and take care of you. And we'll look at Mommy's pictures? All the time. Whenever you want. Natalie's decline was rapid. Within 3 weeks, she was using a wheelchair. Within 4, she needed full-time care. We converted our bedroom into hospice space. Lily came in regularly to sit with her mother, showing her drawings, reading books aloud, just being present. The memory loss Natalie had feared accelerated. Some days she knew us clearly. Other days, she was confused, calling me by her father's name or asking where her childhood dog was. But she always recognized Lily, even at the end. That was the gift we focused on. 2 months after my stabbing, Natalie passed away in our home. Lily and I were both there, holding her hands. Her last words were, I love you, whispered to our daughter. Lily said, I love you too, Mommy, and Natalie smiled before slipping away. The funeral was small. Her family, our friends, a few of her photography clients whose weddings she'd documented. We played the videos she'd recorded for Lily, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Oliver sent a letter from prison. I burned it without reading it. Whatever he had to say didn't matter anymore. In the months that followed, Lily and I built a new normal. We looked at Natalie's photos every night before bed, watched her videos on birthdays and holidays, kept her memory alive through stories and laughter. I found new photos periodically. Natalie had hidden them throughout the house, in books, behind picture frames, tucked into storage boxes. Each one was a gift, a reminder that even when she was dying, she'd been documenting life. On Lily's 7th birthday, I gave her an envelope Natalie had left. Inside was a letter and a series of photos showing Lily as a baby, a toddler, a child. My beautiful girl, the letter began. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. But I need you to know that every single day with you was a gift. You made my life meaningful. You gave me purpose. And even though I can't be there to watch you grow up, I'm so proud of the person you're becoming. The letter continued with advice, with love, with promises that death couldn't keep Natalie from watching over her daughter. Lily read it 3 times, then carefully folded it and put it in her special box where she kept treasures. Daddy? She said that night as I tucked her in. Yes, sweetie. I'm sad Mommy's gone, but I'm glad she left us so many pictures. It's like she knew we'd need them. She did know, and she loved us enough to make sure we'd remember. I'll never forget, Lily said fiercely. Even when I'm old like Grammy, I'll remember. I kissed her forehead. Good, because she'll never forget you either. Not really. Love doesn't end when someone dies. Years later, when Lily graduated high school, I played her the video Natalie had recorded for that exact day. My daughter, now 18, watched her mother speak to her from beyond death, offering pride, wisdom, encouragement. When it ended, Lily looked at me with tears streaming. She really thought of everything, didn't she? She loved you that much. Lily wiped her eyes and smiled. I know, and I love her too. Always will. The photos Natalie took of me sleeping still exist. Hundreds of them, spanning years. They're not creepy anymore. They're evidence of love, of someone trying desperately to hold on to life while it slipped away. And every time I look at them, I'm reminded that the darkest secrets sometimes hide the brightest love. That deception isn't always malicious, and that the photos we take matter less than the memories we create while taking them. Natalie is gone, but she's everywhere in our home. In Lily's smile, in my memories, in the thousands of photos documenting a life lived fully despite its tragic brevity. That's her legacy. Not the cancer that killed her or the secrets she kept, but the love she left behind, carefully documented, impossible to forget. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.